Prince Harry's latest return to Britain was supposed to tell a very different story. On paper, this visit had all the ingredients of a carefully managed comeback. It was meant to put the attention back on the causes Harry has always cared about most: the Invictus Games, the Well Child Awards, bereaved military families, and the kind of charitable work where even many of his critics admit he still looks comfortable, natural, and useful. It was also meant to suggest something more personal. After years of open conflict, interviews, legal fights, public accusations, and a deepening family divide, this was meant to be a small step toward healing, not a grand reunion. Not a dramatic royal reset, but at least a sign that the door between Prince Harry and his father was not completely closed. Instead, the trip became a reminder of just how fragile that relationship still is. From the very beginning, the choreography went wrong. Before Harry had even completed the visit, the story was no longer simply about veterans, sick children, or family reconciliation. It had become a row about where he was staying, who had said what, whether Buckingham Palace had offered him accommodation, whether he had accepted too late, and why the palace was so quick to publicly correct the impression that he would be staying there. That speed was striking.
Has this trip been a success for him and Meghan, or more of a failure?
It has certainly not been the trip they envisaged. Harry still has that kind of credit in the bank with the British public. It is different for Meghan. You're either Team Sussex or you're not. The King does want to heal those wounds with Harry. It's a very different story when it comes to William. Invictus Australia has pulled its funding. There were questions over the Vancouver costs being so high and whether it was really worth it.
William does have an appetite to strip them of their title.
Buckingham Palace is not famous for rushing into denials. It normally moves slowly, carefully, and with a certain institutional patience. But in this case, the response was swift. When the suggestion emerged from Harry's side that he would be staying at Buckingham Palace, the palace made it clear that this was not the case. From Harry's perspective, the issue seems to have been tied to security arrangements. His team had apparently been trying to work through the details during the previous week. By the time he accepted the offer of accommodation, they say he was told it was too late. From the palace's side, the explanation was different. They had given him a deadline, he had declined in writing. Later he changed his mind, but by then the staff arrangements had changed and the opportunity had passed. That is the official version of events. But as always with the Sussexes and the palace, the official version only tells part of the story. Yes, Buckingham Palace is enormous. To the outside world, it sounds almost absurd that a palace with hundreds of rooms could not find one room for the king's younger son. But Buckingham Palace is also undergoing major refurbishment. It is not functioning in the ordinary way. No one is currently living there as they once did, and staff are moved around according to planned requirements. Even so, the optics were not good. The whole thing looked awkward, petty, and avoidable. It created exactly
A failure.
It has certainly not been the trip they envisaged. This was meant to be all about the Invictus Games. It was meant to be about the Well Child Awards. It was meant to be about drawing attention to those causes. And it was also meant to be about family rapprochement, healing those wounds. And it was anything but. It got off to a terrible start on Monday when we got the suggestion from Harry that his spokesperson said he's going to stay at Buckingham Palace, and instantly we had a denial from Buckingham Palace. Not known to be pretty quick to respond usually, but very quick in that regard to say, actually, no, he's not. He's not staying here. That's completely wrong. And so we ended up in this he said, she said debacle about what a
kind of public squabble that both sides should have wanted to avoid. But there was another factor sitting behind the accommodation row: Harry's legal case against associated newspapers. That judgment was due during the same visit, and it was understood that Harry intended to make a statement afterward from an undisclosed location. For Buckingham Palace, that mattered. If Harry had been staying inside Buckingham Palace and then issued a furious statement attacking a judge, the press, and the legal process, the palace would have been dragged straight into the symbolism of it. The courts operate under the name of his father, King Charles. So the idea of the king's son launching a scathing public response from inside the king's official residence would have created a very uncomfortable picture. And when the statement did come, it was not mild. Harry described the outcome as a complete and utter whitewash. He was highly critical, not just of the newspaper group, but of the judgment itself, and by implication, the system that had produced it. That is why the palace may have wanted distance. It was not only about bedsheets, staff, or room availability, it was about avoiding the image of Buckingham Palace becoming the backdrop to another Harry versus the establishment moment. This is the problem that now follows almost every Sussex-related royal event. Even when the public purpose is charitable, the surrounding story quickly becomes about conflict.
Been going on. From Harry's side, he was trying to sort out his security arrangements for the whole of the previous week. By the time he confirmed that he was staying at the palace, he was told it was too late. From Buckingham Palace's side, they had given him a deadline. They had said Friday night deadline. Saturday morning, he had declined in writing. Later on that day, he had then accepted, by which point the staff had been stood down and he was told, sorry, it's too late. You can't stay. But there's obviously a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
The cause gets pushed aside by the family drama, the legal drama, or the media drama. And that is exactly what happened here. Harry did get to meet his father. That matters. But the way the meeting was handled tells us almost as much as the meeting itself. There were no photographs, no detailed briefings, no emotional statements, no smiling family portrait with King Charles, Prince Harry, Meghan, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. No carefully released image designed to show the world that all had been forgiven. That silence was deliberate. The central problem inside the royal family is not simply hurt, it is distrust. After Spare, the Netflix series, the interviews, and years of private conversations becoming public material, the family no longer knows what can safely be said. So if there is to be any chance of rebuilding contact, even at the most basic level, privacy is the condition. The meeting took place at Highgrove in Gloucestershire, and that location was significant. It was not Windsor, which would have placed Harry and Meghan physically closer to the Prince and Princess of Wales. It was not a high-profile palace setting built for a photo opportunity. Highgrove was Harry's childhood home. It is connected to memory, family, and the King personally. It also offered privacy.
Was a big factor in this because Harry had asked to stay on the Tuesday, on the day that he was due to get his judgment in the privacy case against associated newspapers. And it had been made clear that he was going to make a statement afterwards from an undisclosed location. Now, it wasn't going to be a good look for Buckingham Palace, whatever he said. And actually, as it came out, that statement was excoriating, wasn't it? Prince Harry describing it as a complete and utter whitewash, highly critical of the judge, but also the whole judicial system, which operates under his father's name, His Majesty's courts. And so Buckingham Palace, yes, they got fed up with the dithering and they wanted to distance themselves from that. But I do agree, on the surface of it, you can't find a room in this vast place and you can't find anyone to make up a bed for him. It didn't look great. I don't think anyone looked great.
He did get to meet his father when he was over here. Any intel on that meeting? What went down? What was said?
No intel whatsoever, which is exactly the point at JJ, because part of the problem with this family rift and why it's so hard to heal it is the fear of leaks, the lack of trust that there exists. And so there
was another event taking place nearby, meaning cars were coming and going. Harry, Meghan and the children could arrive and leave without turning the visit into a public spectacle. The public only learnt about it once the palace confirmed that the meeting had happened. That is exactly how the palace would have wanted it. For King Charles, the emotional calculation is different from the institutional one. Whatever has been said, Harry is still his son. Archie and Lilibet are still his grandchildren. The King had not seen the children since the Platinum Jubilee in June 2022. That was also the first time he had met Lilibet. So any opportunity to see them again was bound to carry personal weight. But the absence of a photograph was just as important as the meeting itself. There has been reporting and commentary suggesting that Meghan would have liked a picture of the children with their grandfather. It is easy to understand why. A photograph like that would send a very powerful message. It would remind the world that the Sussex children are not just celebrity children living in California. They are royal grandchildren. They are connected by blood to the king. But that is also exactly why such a photograph would have been sensitive. If a picture had been released, the visit would immediately have become a branding moment, a reconciliation moment, and a public relations moment. It would have been analysed as a signal that the Sussexes were being brought back in from the cold. And for the wider royal family, especially William and Catherine, that would have been deeply uncomfortable. So if a photograph exists, the public is unlikely to see it anytime soon. And if the king is serious about rebuilding trust, keeping private moments private is the only way forward. Meghan's presence in Britain was also carefully managed. She did not take part in the public engagements that had once been expected. She did not appear in Birmingham at the 1 year to go event for the Invictus Games. She did not stand beside Harry in the way some had anticipated. There are several possible reasons for that. The first is security. Harry has said again and again that he does not feel safe bringing his wife and children to the UK unless their security arrangements are resolved. If Meghan and the children had appeared publicly and everything had passed without incident, it would have undermined part of Harry's own argument. Critics would have said, if it was so unsafe, why did you bring them out publicly? The second reason is public reaction. Meghan knows Britain is the place where she is most likely to face a difficult reception. When she and Harry appeared during the Platinum Jubilee, there were cheers, but there were also boos. After the Queen's death, during the walkabout at Windsor, some members of the public were warm, but others were visibly less so. Harry still has a kind of residual credit.
The grandchildren there as well. I mean, the king has let it be known, whatever has been said, whatever has been done, that the door was always open for Harry. Ultimately, blood is blood. He is his son, and they are his grandchildren. He hasn't seen Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet since June 2022.
Crikey.
The Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and that was only the first time that he'd met Lilibet. So this was his second meeting with his granddaughter. And it was a private meeting. It took place at Highgrove in Gloucestershire, significant location, not at Windsor, bit too close to comfort to the Waleses. Highgrove, Harry's childhood home where he grew up, could show his children the old haunts, his old tree house, for example. Very private. There was also a Chanel lunch going on that occasion. So there were lots of cars coming and going. And that enabled Harry and Meghan and the children to get in undetected and out again. And it was only when the palace announced it officially that we knew it had happened. And that's exactly how they wanted the choreography to work.
So I was told Meghan really wanted...
With parts of the British public. People remember the young prince, the soldier, the founder of Invictus, and the man who can still light up when he is around children or veterans. Meghan's position is very different. The public response to her is far more divided. People are often either firmly sympathetic or firmly opposed, with very little middle ground. For Meghan, a public appearance in Britain carries risk. It can easily become a referendum on her popularity. That is not helpful when she is trying to build a lifestyle brand in California around warmth, aspiration, positivity, and control. There is also the question of Harry's court defeat. Some commentators suggested that Meghan may not have wanted to be associated publicly with the legal loss and the toxic atmosphere around it. That may be unfair, but it reflects a wider perception. Meghan is trying to build a brand that feels sunny and marketable, while Harry's public image is still tied to lawsuits, grievance, and unfinished royal conflict. The result was a strange, split-screen image. Meghan and the children were part of the private family element, but absent from the public work. Harry carried the visible duties alone. He was also seen leaving Althorpe, the Spencer family home. It has long been understood.
The picture She wanted a photograph of the kids with granddad, grandpapa, and that would be like a signal to the world of, look, we are still royals. But she didn't get that. Or if she did get it, we're never going to see that photograph.
We're never going to see that photograph. Not if there's to be any chance of longer term healing and them being brought back in from the cold. We don't know whether there was a photograph or not. I think it's probably unlikely. This was like a very tentative step. We know that Harry has seen his father now on a couple of occasions, the last one being in September of last year. This is the first time Meghan's been back here.
But Harry wanted to take Meghan and the children to visit Princess Diana's grave. Whether that happened has not been publicly confirmed. But even the possibility matters, because Diana remains central to the emotional story Harry tells about his life, his trauma, his distrust of the press, and his desire to protect his own family. That brings us to Queen Camilla. Camilla's presence around the King's meeting with Harry was notable. In Spare, Harry was deeply critical of her. He described her in extremely harsh terms and wrote about how he and William had opposed Charles marrying her. That history cannot simply be wished away. So when Camilla is present during moments involving Harry, it sends two messages at once. On the surface, it suggests a degree of unity. She is the king's wife, and she stands beside him. But it also suggests watchfulness. Camilla is experienced, shrewd, and very aware of the dangers of royal family conversations becoming public property. Her presence is emotional support for the king, but it is also a reminder that the palace is not approaching Harry naively. The palace wants peace, if peace is possible, but it does not want to be exposed again. The most difficult relationship, however, is not between Harry and Charles. It is between Harry and William.
These engagements, and he's undermining his own argument, isn't he? He's saying, look, okay, you didn't give me the security and here they are and it's gone okay.
Yeah.
So a tough one.
Did Meghan... You're nicer than I am, Sarah. You're a lot nicer than me, because I'm thinking Meghan didn't turn up because she didn't want to get booed by people.
Well, there's certainly that theory that she didn't want a negative reception. And we know when she's been here in the past, when she was here for the Platinum Jubilee and I was outside St Paul's, and there were certainly boos. There were cheers, but there were certainly boos for them. There were a few people in the crowd.
The king appears to want some kind of healing with his younger son. That does not mean full forgiveness. It does not mean a return to the old working royal arrangement. But as a father, Charles seems willing to keep the door open. William is different. There is no visible sign that the Prince of Wales is ready to repair the relationship with Harry. Harry himself has acknowledged that some members of the family may never forgive him. Many royal watchers believe William is the person most likely to feel that way. During this visit, William and Catherine were very visible elsewhere. They were seen at events including polo, charity appearances, and Wimbledon. Their public schedule created its own message. They were busy, they were focused, they were continuing with royal life, while Harry's visit created another wave of headlines. That matters because whenever Harry and Meghan return to Britain, the spotlight shifts back to the family rift. Instead of discussing William and Catherine's work, the public is dragged again into questions about betrayal, forgiveness, brotherhood, Meghan, Spare, Netflix, security, titles, and whether the family can ever be whole again. For William and Catherine, life is probably easier when Harry and Meghan remain in California. Distance creates a kind of stability. The moment the Sussexes are physically back in the royal landscape, the unresolved wound reopens.
So I think there would have been concerns. Also a theory that perhaps, given that Harry had this big loss in the High Court this week, that she didn't want to be associated with that because it's not good for the brand, doesn't want to be a part of the toxicity and the circus around it because she's very much trying to build her own brand, lifestyle, all positive. But also the real fears, and I do genuinely think they have major fears about security, and particularly when it comes to Meghan and the children and not wanting to be seen out and about. So, she managed to get in. She was undetected. They got to Highgrove. Harry was seen leaving Althorp House, the Spencer family home, on Saturday. We know he wanted to take Meghan and his children to visit his mother's grave. Whether or not that has taken place over the weekend, we can only assume, but we haven't seen them.
Everything is digital now, isn't it? Your money, your photos, even your loyalty card at the coffee shop. So there's something quietly brilliant about owning one thing that isn't on a screen. Real gold bullion. The weight of it, the shine, it's just a lovely thing to hold. The Pure Gold Company, which was...
That raises the question, does Harry actually want to move back to the UK? The answer appears to be no, at least not in the traditional sense. Meghan almost certainly does not want to return to Britain permanently. Her life, her business ambitions, and her public identity are now based in California. But Harry may still want a version of the arrangement he originally asked for, half in, half out. He wanted to live privately, earn money, and keep independence, while still returning for charitable engagements and public service connected to his old royal life. The late Queen rejected that model. The royal family could not allow a system where two members use royal status selectively while also pursuing commercial freedom. The concern was always about confusion, brand overlap, and the risk of monetizing proximity to the crown. And yet, in practice, Harry and Meghan have tried to create their own version of that model anyway. They live in California, they make their own money, but Harry still returns for causes that look and feel very close to royal work. When he visits children's hospitals, attends Well Child, supports bereaved military children, or promotes the Invictus Games, it often resembles the public service role he had before he left royal life. The difference is that now he does it outside the official royal structure. This is where Harry is at his strongest. Whatever one thinks of his interviews, court cases, or attacks on the press, he is genuinely effective when he is focused on people rather than himself. At Well Child, he looks relaxed. Around children, he is warm. With veterans, he has credibility. With military families, he understands the language, the emotion, and the purpose. That is the version of Harry many people still recognize. And the tragedy for him is that this version keeps getting buried under the other version, the angry litigant, the wounded prince, the man still fighting the press, the man still trying to force a public reckoning over his past. The legal defeat against Associated Newspapers is therefore a major moment. The case was costly, high profile, and risky. Harry was one of several claimants, and because of his name, he inevitably became the face of the fight. For Harry and his supporters, these legal actions are part of a mission to hold the tabloid press accountable. They see him as someone prepared to challenge institutions that most people cannot afford to fight. They argue that he has personal reasons, moral reasons, and historical reasons for refusing to let the issue go. For his critics, the problem is different. They see a man who cannot distinguish between journalism he dislikes and journalism that is unlawful.
They were very busy doing lots of other things, polo, charity matches, Wimbledon.
Very visible.
Very visible.
Visibly busy doing other things.
Yeah, but how are they going to feel the fact that Harry and Meghan came back in this whirlwind and got a lot of media attention and
not always the right media attention,
No.
though, was it? I mean, this wasn't the sort of glorious homecoming.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult for them because while the king does want to heal those wounds with Harry, it's a very different story when it comes to William. I don't see any sign of any kind of...
The court outcome, in that view, reinforces a simple point. A story being uncomfortable, embarrassing, or unwanted does not automatically mean it was obtained illegally. That distinction is central. Harry's hostility toward the press did not appear out of nowhere. It is rooted in childhood, in the way he and William were pursued, in the relentless coverage of Diana, and in the trauma of her death in Paris while being chased by paparazzi. Nobody serious should pretend those experiences did not shape him. But understanding his pain is not the same as agreeing with every claim he makes. A person can have been genuinely hurt by media intrusion and still be wrong in a specific legal case. A person can have legitimate grievances and still overreach That is the challenge for Harry now. If this was his last major legal battle against the press, then he has reached the end of one chapter. The question is whether he accepts that and turns his energy elsewhere, or whether he continues to define his public life through combat. If he were being advised purely on public image, the advice would be simple: do what you are good at. For Harry, that means Invictus, veterans, children's charities, and causes where he can be seen listening rather than accusing. It means stepping away from the permanent war with newspapers and returning to work that has a visible human benefit. For Meghan, the advice would be similar.
That's one of the reasons why it's better that it was at Highgrove, not at Windsor, not just down the road. Oh, so close and yet so far.
Yeah.
But I think it difficult because I think they're happier with Harry and Meghan being in California, and once they're back here, of course, it puts all the scrutiny back on that family rift, on the row, on all of the things that have been said, instead of the work that they're trying to get on and do.
Do you think Harry wants to move back to the UK?
No.
No, really?
I don't think he does. I mean, certainly Meghan definitely
does not want to
doesn't.
move here.
I think Harry would love to have what he proposed in the first place, which was this half in, half out. You can live in California, make a living for yourself, but come back in and do these charitable engagements. Things like the Well Child Awards that he was doing last week, Scotty's Little Soldiers, the charity for bereaved military children, Invictus Games, for example. And this model that played out this week, apart from the row over where he was going to stay and everything else, is exactly what he wanted. To be able to do the philanthropic work, the charity work, the appearances, but still have his own life.
Focus on the brand she actually wants to build. Her lifestyle work in California, whatever people make of it, is not harmful in itself. It is an updated version of the world she once built through the TIG. Food, home, entertaining, presentation, aspiration, and personal taste. Yes, people may mock the jam, the flower arrangements, the product launches, or the tone of it all. But if Meghan wants to make a living through lifestyle products, that is a more coherent path than endless royal grievance. It is at least an attempt to build something separate. The question is whether it makes enough money. Harry and Meghan are not poor. Nobody should pretend they're living an ordinary financial struggle. But they do have an extremely expensive life. Their home in California, security, staff, travel, legal bills, public relations, and business operations all require serious money. Charity work does not pay those bills. Harry may be excellent at public service, but public service is not the same as income. Meghan's commercial projects therefore carry real pressure. She is not only building a brand because she wants creative control, she is also part of the financial engine of the Sussex household. That is why the future of Invictus matters as well. The Invictus Games remain Harry's clearest success. They are the part of his post-military life.
Child since, I think, 2007. You know, he absolutely comes to life. He loves this. Invictus Games. He talks about his military family and the Invictus family. I mean, you know, happier family times than he has had with his own family. But he's really passionate about that. And we see him and we see that passion and we see the spark again that we've been missing for so long. And actually this week, yes, he lost the court case and we did have this statement. But when he came out and did the public engagements, he sort of put a big smile on his face.
That makes the most sense. He came to the idea through personal experience, through service in Afghanistan, and through seeing the impact of adaptive sport on wounded, injured, and sick service personnel. The Games began with 13 countries and have grown significantly since then. They have changed lives. Some participants have said the Games gave them focus, purpose, and a reason to keep going when life felt dark. That is not public relations language. That is real impact. But even successful charitable sporting events need money. They need sponsors, government support, logistics, venues, and long-term confidence. There have been questions about funding, including reports about Invictus Australia pulling its support and scrutiny over costs connected to previous games. There have also been concerns about whether future fundraising targets can be met. Harry's people have pushed back strongly against suggestions that the Games are in danger, They say the pessimistic claims are not true. And it is important to separate the value of Invictus from the noise around Harry and Meghan. Invictus should not become collateral damage in the Sussex culture war. It is bigger than one couple's reputation. For the competitors, families, and veterans involved, it matters deeply. Still, Harry's public image affects everything around him.
And I think it's bruising for him as well, because this was his last big case.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like there's any grounds for appeal whatsoever. And so where does he go from here? Does he carry on, this big crusade that he's got to reshape the media landscape? Or does this draw a line now?
He looks, as a journalist, it feels as if he just hates the press and he wants to burn us to the ground, and he thought this would be the start of it with the Daily Mail. And unfortunately, we're not going anywhere.
And that's a deep-rooted...
When he is seen as a serious patron of veterans, Invictus benefits when he is seen as a prince still fighting old battles. The cause risks being overshadowed. That pattern repeats with the question of titles. There are regular calls for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles. Some commentators have gone further and argued that the wider royal family should clean up the use of titles more aggressively, including with other non-working royals. But Harry and Meghan should not be placed in the same category as Prince Andrew. They have caused embarrassment, they have aired family grievances in public, they have made damaging allegations, they have contributed to hurt and distrust. But that is not the same as Andrew's situation, which is of an entirely different scale and nature. The king does not appear to have an appetite to strip Harry and Meghan of their titles. There are legal and parliamentary complications. But beyond that, there is a strategic question. What would it achieve? If the purpose is to punish them, it might satisfy some critics for a day. But it could also hand Harry and Meghan another grievance, another interview subject, another reason to say the institution has mistreated them. Pushing them further away has not exactly produced calm in the past. With William, the calculation could change. Many believe that when William becomes king, he will have less patience for the Sussexes than Charles does.
Sense of loathing that he has for the press, for the tabloid press, for paparazzi, as we know, because he does... and you can see why, because he talks about his childhood and the scars that he bears from his childhood and, being chased by paparazzi when they were on a ski holiday, for example.
Yeah.
Obviously, the devastating impact that had on his mother, the death of his mother while being chased by paparazzi in Paris. It is a real deep-rooted loathing that he has. And
he may be more willing to draw hard lines. Some think he would consider removing titles or cutting the connection even more sharply. But even then, there is a question of wisdom. A future King William will inherit a difficult job. The monarchy will be slimmer. The number of active working royals will be smaller. Edward and Sophie are valuable, but they are getting older. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are not working royals. Zara Tindall is popular when she appears, but she has shown no desire to take on a formal royal role. William and Catherine's children are still young and should be allowed to grow up before being pushed toward duty. In that context, William may decide that the best response to Harry and Meghan is not punishment, but distance. Let them live their life. Let them make their choices. Do not feed the drama. Do not create fresh martyrdom. Sometimes the most powerful royal strategy is simply to say less. That brings us to Andrew, because his story now sits in the background of almost every conversation about royal damage. Police interest in Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and the wider questions connected to Virginia Giuffre's family have added another layer to an already grim public picture. Multiple police forces have reportedly been involved in looking at aspects of the matter, and the process is complicated by time, jurisdiction, and the international nature of the Epstein scandal.
What would you tell them to do next?
Do what you're good at. Do what you're good at. Meghan...
Well, what's Meghan good at?
Well, she is good at making jam and
Stop laughing.
arranging.
Stop laughing.
But
It's a serious question. What is she good at?
I don't have a problem with what Meghan is now doing in California because she's kind of gone back to her roots. This is a bit like she used to do with the TIG. It's not harming anyone. Yes, she might be mocked for some of it at various points, but actually, go out there and make a living for yourself.
But we're told that her ever after brand is not making money.
It's really hard to tell, isn't it? Because of course they will put out that it's a massive sellout, etc., that she's going to expand, but we don't know the figures. We haven't seen the accounts. Certainly, she's got a lot of people talking about it because everything that they do gets a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? If she wants to do that and to try and make a living, I have no problem with that. In fact, that's exactly what they need to be doing. They've got a very expensive lifestyle in California. The security bills are through the roof. And Harry is really, really good at these charitable endeavours that he takes on.
But that doesn't pay the rent.
It doesn't pay the bills, so she's got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
She's got to be the breadwinner now. I mean, look, he's not on the breadline, is he?
Virginia Giuffre's family have raised the question of why accountability appears to be moving in Britain when so much of Jeffrey Epstein's criminal world was rooted in the United States. That is a fair question, and it underlines how unresolved this entire chapter remains. For Andrew, the fall has been extraordinary. He is no longer at the centre of royal life. He is isolated, living in a kind of gilded exile with few public appearances and little sympathy. He may still have privileges ordinary people could never imagine, but compared with the status he once held, the decline is dramatic. This is why comparisons between Harry and Andrew are often misleading. Harry has damaged the family through words, interviews, accusations, and conflict. Andrew has damaged the institution in a far more serious and enduring way. The public may sometimes lump royal scandals together, but the scale is not the same. In fact, the widening gap between how people see Andrew and how they see Harry may help the Sussexes in one sense. It reminds the public that Harry's behaviour, however frustrating to many, is not the monarchy's gravest problem. At the same time, that does not mean Harry's actions have no consequences. The damage he has done is emotional, reputational, and relational.
It's not as if he came to it, with an overdraft. He had plenty of money. They have a very nice life.
Yeah.
They do have a very expensive lifestyle. And, if she wants to carry on doing what she's doing, great. And Harry is really, really good at those things. The Invictus Games is absolutely brilliant. And if it enables him to have more time to do that, then I'm all for it.
Well, speaking of the Invictus Games, we said last week on the show it may end up getting cancelled because they're struggling to get sponsors on board. The government...
Trust has been broken. Family members are wary. Every meeting now has to be choreographed to avoid leaks, briefings, photographs, and interpretations. That is not a normal family life, and it is certainly not a normal royal life. The most revealing part of this whole visit is that Harry still seems to want two things that are difficult to hold together. He wants royal connection without royal control. He wants privacy, but also recognition. He wants to protect his family from the press, but also use public moments to signal status and belonging. He wants to live outside the institution, but still benefit from the emotional power of being inside its orbit. That tension has defined the Sussex project from the beginning. When Harry is at a charity event, the old magic can still flicker. He smiles, he listens, he seems grounded, he has a purpose beyond himself. That is the Harry the public once liked, and it has not completely disappeared. But when the story shifts back to lawsuits, palace rows, security disputes, titles, and accusations, that version of Harry vanishes again. In its place is a man who appears trapped in the same battle, repeating the same pain, and expecting a different result. Meghan faces a different but related problem.
If you like, because he came at this from, a position of knowledge. This was something he knew about, having served in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He has seen the impact that it has had on so many veterans. He went to the Warrior Games. He saw how much of a difference that could make, and he wanted to do it himself. And it's doubled in size. It's got 26 countries taking part versus the 13 that started. 1 in 10 of those who took part in it said that it had helped save their life because it has given them a focus and a purpose when life feels pretty bleak.
Yeah.
So it is brilliant, and we have to hope that it does survive. But like all of these big sporting events, and like all charities, it is suffering, and there is financial scrutiny on it. Invictus Australia has pulled its funding.
Yeah.
We know that there were questions over the Vancouver costs being so high and whether it was really worth it. So they are going to be feeling the pressure. But, is it worthwhile? Absolutely. You ask anyone who takes part in it, it makes a big difference. And that is the real big thing that Harry has taken away.
If she wants to build a lifestyle business, she needs consistency, warmth, and trust. She needs customers to see her not as a permanent combatant in royal drama, but as someone offering a world they want to buy into. That is hard to do when every appearance, absence, product, and photograph is interpreted through the lens of the royal feud. The Highgrove meeting may have been a small step forward. It allowed the king to see his grandchildren. It allowed Harry to reconnect with his father in a controlled, private way. It avoided the disastrous mistake of turning reconciliation into a photo shoot. But it did not solve the deeper problem. Charles may want peace. Harry may want access. Meghan may want recognition. William may want distance. The palace may want silence. The press may want answers. And the public, after years of this drama, may simply want clarity. What exactly are Harry and Meghan now? Are they private citizens building a life in California? Are they quasi-royals conducting unofficial royal-style visits? Are they campaigners against the press? Are they lifestyle entrepreneurs? Are they wounded family members seeking reconciliation? Or are they still trying to prove that the institution needs them more than it admits? The answer changes depending on the week. That is why this trip felt so messy.
Into his new life and managed to continue, that you can't say isn't a success. It's a big success for those involved.
Okay. Well, Andrew Loney, the royal bugfer, he says the Sussexes should be stripped of their titles, and Beatrice and Eugenie, they should lose their titles as well. How do you feel about that?
Look, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, absolutely, 100%. I think we have to think about Harry and Meghan, and in the context, they tend to get lumped in. We talked about the Dukes of Hazzard, haven't we, with Prince Harry and Prince Andrew. I mean, they don't even bear comparison.
No, they do not.
They really do not bear comparison. Yeah. Yes, they've aired their dirty laundry in public. That has caused harm. Mm-hmm. Is there an appetite from the king to strip them of their titles? No. We've always been told it's not in the king's power. It takes an act of parliament. Uh-huh. We've seen with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor that there are ways around this, and there are ways. But I just don't think there is the appetite to do it. And I think there is a wish to bring them a little bit closer in rather than push them further away.
Well,
look what happens when you push them away.
True.
It was not a disaster in every respect. Harry did good work. He attended meaningful events. He showed again that he can connect powerfully with causes he genuinely cares about. He met his father. The king saw his grandchildren. Those are not small things, but it was not the smooth comeback that may have been hoped for. The accommodation row made the palace look cold and Harry look chaotic. The legal defeat made Harry look weakened. Meghan's absence from public engagements made people speculate about fear, branding, and strategy. The lack of photographs protected the family, but also reminded everyone how little trust remains. William's distance showed that any reconciliation with Charles does not automatically extend to the next king. And behind all of it sits the biggest question of all. Can Harry and Meghan build a future that is not permanently dependent on the royal family they chose to leave? If the answer is yes, then the path is clear. Harry should focus on Invictus, veterans, children, and the causes where he is at his best. Meghan should focus on making her commercial brand credible, profitable, and separate from royal conflict. They should stop chasing symbolic validation from the palace and stop allowing every private family moment to become a public test of status. If the answer is no, then this cycle will continue. A visit, a row, a legal fight, a statement.
When William becomes king, because we've got, Sophie and Edward, but, they're in their 60s now. Beatrice and Eugenie, no longer, involved. Zara, great, brilliant when she comes out, supported him at a garden party, but doesn't want to be a working royal. And the children are still young. And they will want the children to have the opportunities that they had to go off and do their own thing and make a choice about when they become working royals. So he's going to feel that gap. But
A rumour about reconciliation, a question about titles, a debate about whether Meghan will come back, a new round of commentary about William, and then the whole machine starts again. For the king, the instinct may be to keep the door open because Harry is his son. For William, the instinct may be to protect the future by keeping the distance. For Harry, the instinct may be to reach back toward the family while still insisting he was right to leave. And for Meghan, the instinct may be to stay close enough to royal identity to benefit from it, but far enough away to control her own world. That is a delicate balance. So far, they have not managed it cleanly. This visit showed the best and worst of Harry's current position. At his best, he is still capable of meaningful public service. At his worst, he is still caught in a loop of grievance, legal conflict, and institutional resentment. The royal family can probably absorb that. It has survived worse. The Andrew scandal alone is far more damaging in scale and seriousness. But for Harry personally, the question is more urgent. Does he want to spend the next decade relitigating the past? Or does he want to build a future that does not require constant reference to what went wrong? That is the choice underneath all the noise. Because the truth is, the British public may still have some room for Harry. Not limitless patience, not blind loyalty, but some room. They remember who he was.
I think he's just going to have to crack on with it. And if it were me advising them, just leave it. Just leave it. Least said, soonest mended.
Right. Finally, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Yes.
The police who are investigating him are now going to speak to Virginia Giuffre's family as well. Do you think, whether it's 10 years from now, that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is ever going to find himself in court in front of a judge having to answer proper questions, or are we just going to keep on having these reports?
They can still see flashes of the person he used to be when he is around the causes that matter to him. For Meghan, the path is harder in Britain. She is more polarizing, more closely associated with the rupture, and less protected by nostalgia. But even for her, there is a route forward if she builds something real, something separate, and something that does not require constant royal oxygen. The tragedy is that every time the Sussexes come close to a calmer chapter, another controversy seems to pull them back. This trip could have been about service, family, and a cautious beginning. Instead, it became a reminder that reconciliation without trust is almost impossible. Harry can meet his father. The king can see his grandchildren. A private door can remain open. But unless the public battles stop, the family will keep protecting itself with silence, distance, and choreography. And that may be the clearest message from the whole visit. The door is not closed, but it is not open in the way Harry and Meghan may want it to be. It is open quietly, carefully, and only on terms that protect the crown from being pulled back into another Sussex drama. For Harry, that may feel cold. For the palace, it may feel necessary. And for everyone watching, it confirms what has been obvious for years. This is not a simple family disagreement anymore. It is a struggle over trust, image, money, duty, media, and the meaning of royal status itself. Until Harry and Meghan decide which life they truly want, every return to Britain will carry the same question. Is this the beginning of healing, or just another chapter in the same unfinished story?
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I think the public see Harry and Andrew in the same light when they've both done
I wonder if that has
things.
shifted. I think the last year with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has, I think, opened up the gap between the perceptions of the two of them, and the damage that has been done to the royal brand by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor
is infinitely worse than anything Harry's done.
Vast.
Yeah.
Absolutely vast. And could continue to